The return of Dragon Ball Super is currently the hottest topic in the Dragon Ball community. It's not just the long-anticipated anime, which hasn't aired since 2018, but also now the manga, put on hiatus following the passing of Akira Toriyama in 2024. It was during this break that Dragon Ball Daima aired, offering some entertainment for fans, though we were still anxiously waiting for the continuation of the Super manga. Even at the time of this video, the Dragon Ball Super manga remains on hiatus. The most recent chapter we received was Chapter 104 found in Volume 24, which served as a prequel to the Dragon Ball Super superhero arc. That chapter, titled Saiyaman X, was based on a text written by Akira Toriyama himself. Toyotaro explained, while working on Saiyaman X as a prequel to the superhero arc, Sensei shared a story with the note. It's up to you whether this gets used in the main story or not. I felt it would be too much of a waste to leave it out, so I wanted to adapt it into the manga. Toyotaro felt strongly about not leaving the story untold and decided to close the volume by including Toriyama's final notes, something that in retrospect feels quite fitting. That said, it wasn't exactly the kind of content fans had been hoping for, especially after following the epic battle we just seen involving Gohan Beast, Ultra Instinct Goku, Vegeta, and Broly, all fighting side by side. With the volume nearing its end and Piccolo giving his farewell in the previous chapter 103, this closing moment with Toriyama served as a heartfelt send-off. What makes this moment even more significant is a single line from Toyotaro's note: "Please stay tuned for what's next." Later, in an interview about Volume 24, Toyotaro added another interesting remark. "The characters appearing on the spine art are decided and drawn several volumes in advance," he said. "So I hadn't thought that I'd end up in a situation where the front cover features powerhouses and the spine art features a total weakling. Incidentally, I've already drawn the future spine art characters, which I hope everyone will get to see very soon." For those unfamiliar, spine art refers to the illustrations found on the spines of manga volumes. When lined up together on a shelf, these images form a continuous piece of artwork, essentially a montage across the volumes. So by stating that he's already drawn the future spine art characters, Toyotaro is essentially confirming that Dragon Ball Super manga will continue. This gave fans a glimmer of hope, though they were still waiting, until now. Recently, Japan Expo Paris announced that Toyotaro, along with the former Dragon Ball Z editor Toriyama, will be making a joint appearance to discuss Toyotaro's new creative challenge. This is some of the most exciting Dragon Ball related news in quite some time. To provide a bit of background, Toriyama-san was Akira Toriyama's editor during the early years of his career, including his time on Dr. Slump and the early Saiyan saga of Dragon Ball. He also played a key role in the development of the Cell arc, famously pressuring Toriyama to move past androids 19 and 20 and later 17 and 18 to create the more iconic villains of that storyline. Toriyama-san is essentially one of the original minds who helped shape Akira Toriyama's creative process, contributing heavily to what many people consider the golden era of Dragon Ball. So seeing him now standing alongside Toyotaro in this mysterious new creative challenge is definitely a promising sign. That brings us to an important clarification about this upcoming project. When Japan Expo Paris released that announcement, some early translations misrepresented the message. Naturally, this stirred a lot of confusion and concern within the Dragon Ball fandom. Many fans assumed that this meant Dragon Ball Super was ending altogether and that Toyotaro was shifting to a completely unrelated series, especially given the hiatus and understandable need for a mangaka to keep producing work. While we've already addressed why the idea of Super ending isn't supported, it's easy to see how the mistranslation caused confusion. The term original manga implied a separate franchise or unrelated project from Dragon Ball as a whole. However, that's not what the statement actually said. What was mentioned was simply a new creative challenge, and based on everything we know, it's quite clear what this challenge is. It's finally time for Toyotaro to step up as Toriyama's successor and continue the Dragon Ball story independently. Up until now, Toriyama had been involved in almost every major Dragon Ball project from manga to movies, playing either a significant or minuscule role. Moving forward without him marks an entirely new chapter for the franchise and a major creative challenge for Toyotaro personally. The inclusion of Toriyama-san seems like a strategic move on Toyo's part. The various interviews and statements is evident that Toyo values collaboration and guidance in his creative journey, as he often did ask Toriyama for certain advice regarding the manga and just pretty much everything. And who better to turn to than Toriyama's original editor, the person who once helped refine and elevate Toriyama's work. In short, the show must go on. This news all confirms that Dragon Ball will continue, and this video aims to help spread that sense of reassurance and excitement. Now that we've covered the informational part of this update, let's talk about what this new challenge, or rather new manga, could actually be about. The most straightforward theory is that the manga will continue Dragon Ball Super, picking up where it last left off on Chapter 104. Given how close the timeline is to the end of Dragon Ball Z, the next volume could serve as a transition leading us into that finale. However, there's also another path that the story might take. It's possible the next volume begins with a brief recap of Dragon Ball Z, perhaps through flashbacks or narrative reflection, to set the stage for what comes next. From there, we could dive into a post-Z era, possibly beginning the long-awaited Black Frieza arc that fans have been eager to see. Another possibility? This could be where Dragon Ball Daima is officially integrated into the main storyline. Sound confusing? Don't worry, I'll break it all down for you. Dragon Ball Daima was a heartfelt passion project produced by Toei Animation and personally written by Akira Toriyama himself. This short series was created to commemorate the 40th anniversary of the Dragon Ball franchise and quickly became a nostalgic treat for longtime fans. With its blend of classic Dragon Ball adventure and the debut of a Super Saiyan 4 transformation, Daima offered a little bit of everything for viewers to enjoy. However, given its 20-episode run, many ideas and plot points were only lightly touched upon, leaving plenty of room for future expansion. One of the most talked about concepts that fans are eagerly hoping to see revisited is the introduction of the fusion bugs. Early in the story, the Demon Realm revealed a completely new method of fusion. Tiny bug-like creatures capable of fusing two beings into one by consuming two halves of a whole. This isn't your typical Gogeta or Vegeta. Those forms already have established fusion methods via the Metamoran dance and the Vatara earrings respectively. This new fusion, however, is something entirely different and brand new to the franchise. It sparked a wave of speculation, with fans wondering what a new Goku and Vegeta fusion using this method would even be called. Drop your name suggestions in the comments below. Another major point of excitement, and arguably the series' brightest highlight, was the return of Super Saiyan 4. When Goku first debuted this form in Daima, the response was so overwhelming that Crunchyroll servers even crashed due to the surge in viewership. While the form still stirs debate over canonical status, there's no denying that it was the main draw of the series for many fans. Naturally, this raises a big question. What about Vegeta? The moment Goku unleashed Super Saiyan 4, fan art of Vegeta in the same form exploded across the internet. Since Daima clearly draws inspiration from GT, allowing Vegeta to unlock this transformation, even if it's just temporary, feels like the natural step. Goku himself stated in the series that Super Saiyan 4 is a form that can be attained through training, and given that Neva, the mysterious catalyst who helped Goku reach this state, is still likely residing in the Demon Realm waiting the return of the other Namekians, the stage is perfectly set for him to help Vegeta unlock his own version of the form whenever the time is right. Speaking of the Namekians, we should see quite a bit of them now residing in the Demon Realm once again. In the Dragon Ball Super manga, it was revealed that Namekians originally came to Universe 7 from a different realm entirely. Long ago, they lived in the Demon Realm, but was eventually migrated outwards due to the oppressive rule of the ancient Demon Kings. As Piccolo mentioned, Namekians have always disliked being ruled over. Neva later expanded on this by explaining the arrogant outsiders from the greater demon worlds often encroached upon the Nameks, making it near impossible for them to live peacefully. As a result, many chose to leave and seek freedom in the outside world. Now, under the rule of Majin Buu, the Demon Realm has once again become a peaceful place. Didn't they even mention that he had planned to ask the surviving Namekians, those who lost their home when Planet Namek was destroyed and have since lived as nomads, to return to this realm? This piece of lore is particularly fascinating. Based on what we know, most of the Namekians who survived Frieza's attack eventually settled on New Namek. However, Dende's comment implies that not all of them chose to go there. Some preferred to live independently, which is not unusual for their people. In Dragon Ball Daima, we learn that the Demon Realm predates the multiverse and that there is only one Demon Realm, not different versions per universe. This means that the Universe 6 Namekians we saw during the Tournament of Power also originate from the same Demon Realm featured in Daima. It's worth noting that the Universe 6 Namekians are made up of their entire clan, suggesting a significant group chose to migrate there, outside of Universe 7. Additionally, in the Granola arc, we were introduced to another group of Namekians who had settled on planet Cereal and lived in harmony with the Cerelians. Monaito eventually became their elder after the Saiyans wiped most of them out. It would be great to see him return to the Demon Realm as well, especially if he brings Granola. Now, I know some of you are wondering about the connection between Daima and Super, so I'll briefly touch on that before continuing. I actually made a more detailed video on the channel discussing this topic around the time Daima ended. That video focused in particular on Super Saiyan 4, which had been a major talking point of contention when comparing the two series. If you're interested in a deeper analysis, I recommend watching that first, then coming back to this one. To briefly summarize, whether it makes perfect sense or not, Daima is unquestionably connected to Super, and the Dragon Ball Super manga will likely dedicate at least one future chapter to Goku's return to the Demon Realm. This has been supported by official statements from Akira Toriyama when asked about Daima's place in the franchise. He confirmed that Daima chronologically follows Dragon Ball Z and is an essential pillar of the franchise. Akira Toriyama personally wrote the story and is directly connected to the Majin Buu saga. Since it's tied to the Buu saga and described as a foundational part of the series, this makes Daima canon to the original storyline. Similarly, when Toriyama was asked about what fans should pay attention to on their second viewing of Dragon Ball Superhero in an interview, he made a rare comment about the Dragon Ball Super anime, stating that the series serves as a casual continuation of his original manga. With both of those clarifications, Dragon Ball Super and Daima are considered canon entries, and it's highly likely they'll intersect, whether for the narrative purpose or simply to drive engagement and profitability in the franchise. I'll be covering the broader topic of what is and isn't canon in Dragon Ball in a separate video soon, but for now, I'll continue under the assumption that Daima takes place within the Super timeline. Now, speaking of Dragon Ball Super, it's likely that this is where we'll see Daima Season 2 draw its inspiration. Currently, Black Frieza stands as the main antagonist in the ongoing storyline, and as far as we know, there isn't another major threat looming on the horizon. But honestly, a second season of Daima doesn't need a new villain. Frieza himself could be the central figure, with the demon realm being seamlessly woven into the plot. One of the earliest concept ideas I came across tying Frieza to the demon realm was in a theory video by 𝗕𝗥𝗔𝗟𝗟. In it, he speculates that Frieza might acquire an evil third eye similar to the one Gomu possesses. This theory in particular holds weight for a couple reasons. First, Frieza is currently in pursuit of ultimate power, not just to surpass Goku and Vegeta, but to rival the gods themselves. He hinted at this ambition in the anime just before the Tournament of Power, when he remarked that Beerus wouldn't be calling the shots forever. It's clear that Frieza's ambitions have grown far beyond ruling just Universe 7. Even with a decade of non-stop training under his belt, Frieza still hasn't surpassed Beerus. According to the V-Jump magazine, Black Frieza is approaching the level of a god of destruction, but hasn't quite reached it. This seems to be something even Frieza recognizes, as he didn't go straight for Beerus after defeating Goku and Vegeta. A 10-year training period isn't just enough time to grow stronger, it also provides ample opportunity to develop a long-term strategy. From Daima, we know that a typical spaceship can't reach the demon realm. Kibito states that the only way to travel there is with a ship powered by a rare magic-like mineral found exclusively in that realm. This, however, might not be a problem for someone like Frieza. Given his vast network of connections, it's very possible that he knows individuals that have means to access the demon realm, perhaps using technology similar to the ship's Glorio's crew employs. Supporting this idea is the fact that in Daima we see the evil witch Mamba using Cybermen seeds during the creation of Majin Buu and Ku. She even claims that she once had so many she could sell them to outsiders. In the original series, Cybermen were used by the Saiyans mainly for training, and it's clear that the Frieza Force had access to these seeds. Vegeta, who was well versed in Saiyan culture, had no knowledge of the demon realm, but he did know about figures like Beerus. This suggests that the Saiyans were not the ones who originally acquired the seeds. Instead, like much of their technology, such as armor and scouters, they were supplied likely by Frieza. This would mean that Frieza is either directly aware of the demon realm, or at the very least knows someone who is. And with the recent rumors about an evil third eye that grants limitless power, he would certainly have reason to investigate. It's important to remember that during most of Daima and much of the series following the Frieza saga, Frieza was pretty much dead. His empire declined significantly during that period. He was only revived for a short time in Resurrection F for about 3 months, then died soon after. Later, he was brought to life by Whis after the Universe 7's victory in the Tournament of Power. Since not much time has passed since then in the current Dragon Ball Super timeline, it's plausible that the news of the Demon Realm is just now reaching the Emperor. As a conqueror, ruling the Demon Realm and having access to his magical resources to strengthen his army would be a strategic move for Frieza. If he were to attempt such a takeover, it would make perfect sense for Goku and Vegeta to return and defend the Demon Realm once again. After all, Majin Buu told Goku to come back and save them if danger ever returned, and the Demon Realm invasion by Black Frieza would certainly qualify. Considering the Demon Realm residents know where Goku and Vegeta live on Earth, and in the latest Dragon Ball Super manga chapter, the two Saiyans mentioned returning to Earth after being away for a while, it wouldn't be hard to re-establish a connection. Perhaps this time it's Glorio and Pansy who come to find them. Frieza doesn't have to be the only reason Goku and others return to the Demon Realm though. There's another kind of threat, one that would be even more chaotic and dangerous. Who better to exist in the Demon Realm than a canon version of Janemba? At first glance, this might sound like pure fan speculation, but when you're talking about Dragon Ball Super, you're dealing with a series built on fan service. From canonizing Gogeta and Broly to incorporating characters like Evil Goku and Gohan Blocko in one form or another, Dragon Ball Super has shown time and time again that it's not afraid to enhance popular fan concepts. So Janemba making his official debut in the series isn't out of the question at all. Janemba is a fan-favorite villain from the Dragon Ball Z movie lineup, and bringing him into the Demon Realm as a chaos-inducing force, warping reality and causing havoc would be a dream scenario for many fans. To make his inclusion feel natural, much like Broly's rewrite, the original backstory would need to be reworked. Ideally, this version of Janemba would debut in a movie, first to properly establish the context and pacing, and that Daima-style animation would be absolutely essential for capturing the supernatural and eerie tone of the Demon Realm. This movie could double as the perfect setup for Daima's return. For instance, you could have Janemba's distortion powers prevent Goku and Vegeta from using their God Ki, just like in the original movie where he disrupted the boundaries between life and death. With Divine Energy blocked, Goku would need to fall back on Super Saiyan 4, this time potentially combining it with Ultra Instinct, the technique rather than the transformation, similar to how he used it in Super Saiyan Blue and Super Saiyan God during the Granola arc. However, without access to the black or silver-haired Ultra Instinct states, even this hybrid Super Saiyan 4 version wouldn't be enough, and that's where Vegeta steps in. With Neva still around as a supporting character, he could help Vegeta unlock his own Super Saiyan 4 transformation, something fans have been waiting to see in the Daima art style. But as in the original Janemba film, even their combined efforts wouldn't be enough. So what's the solution? fusion. This time though, it wouldn't be the fusion dance. Vegeta, still embarrassed by the dance routine, could refuse to do it again, setting up a lighthearted subplot that leads to the use of the fusion bugs instead, which would give the perfect opportunity to bring in Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, a fan favorite and one of the most powerful avatars in the entire franchise. The appearance in Daima style would be absolutely electrifying, and through this power, he would finish off Janemba in a climactic battle, and just like that, Janemba is canonized with another epic moment in the Demon Realm. In this way, we can get all we want combined into one, and if they want to make a series following the movie like they did in Dragon Ball Super, but with much better animation and pacing, then they can. And Dragon Ball Daima will return with another season. But what do you guys think? I'd be interested to know what you have to say in the comment section down below. Do you want to see a second season of Dragon Ball Daima? And if you do, what should be included in it? Leave a like on the video if you haven't yet, and until next time, 𝗕𝗔𝗟𝗡.